Okay. So with the paint scraping, part of the interesting thing with the paint scraping is that you really don't know what you're going to get. A lot of it comes down to just trying to think of how can I create contrast and how can I create an interesting background color, maybe some darks, maybe some lights. Now, I have these paints here. This one is it's a violet. Of course, there's lots of different options with colors, and in some instances, I know if I'm doing my pant leg, maybe I'm going to use colors that are similar to, and maybe I'll use some bright colors. Maybe I'll use some other brighter colors. I have a lot of options here, but I want to kind of keep it to a simple color palette. I definitely want a dark contrasting background because I have the light here. So when you do a scraping, like I said, you don't know what you're going to get. You just know that if I drip some paint somewhere and then I pull, it's just going to kind of smear it in different random ways, however much paint is on the surface of the paper. Now, this, if you have too much paint, obviously, it's going to get too wet and it's going to affect this paper. So you want to kind of keep it sparingly. So I'm just going to drip a couple areas of color in, and this is a black. All right, just kind of randomly putting some black in. And now with my pant legs, I want to kind of go with this denim color. All right. Okay, some blobs there. And of course, yes, some of it's going to mix. Got a little bit of it there. Now, I'm going to just take my paint. The other thing I'm going to need is a paper towel so that when I scrape one, it's going to move, and then I'm going to have to just turn it around and scrape the other side. Then I'll set it down here. But I might want to add another color to see what's going to happen with this. I think I'm going to go with this lighter teal color. And then I'm going to try some white. All right. So you notice I'm not doing like every color everywhere. Just doing a few colors that kind of go along with the color scheme of my pant leg. All right. So some white. All right. Now let's see what happens. That's the most fun about this. All right. So angle my scraper down. Okay. It's kind of cool. And now maybe I'll throw a contrasting color in there just to see. And I'm going to go the other direction now with the other side of my scraper. Okay. So I went this way now. I'm just going to flip it this way and I'm going to go like this. And maybe take some of that over here and just throw a little bit in there. All right. All right. Now I set that aside. I got a lot of paint down at the bottom. Got a lot of paint down here. All right. I have to get this tape off before too long because I don't want it to affect the paper. So I'm just going to now peel my tape off nice and carefully and away from the project. I might need to take my scraper again and clean off some of that. Oops. Clean off some of this extra paint over here. Scrape it off to the side of the brown paper. There we go. And I can still see the margin there. I can see where the other paper is. Now I'm just going to tape that down. You're going to get a little paint on your hands here. I'm going to throw this away before it gets too messy. And I get it all over myself. All right. So that's all right. Just added another effect with some of the paper tearing off. It's kind of cool. All right. Okay. And there I have my scraped base for my project. I have to let this dry. So I'm going to let it dry on my brown paper. Good thing about acrylic paints are they dry really fast. You can see some of the thinner stuff is already dry. And then even here where it was thick, it's kind of globby and kind of cool. It still maintains some transparency where I can see the lettering through it. I do see right here there's a heavy glob. I'm just going to take my scraper here and I'm just going to kind of take some of that off there just a little bit like that. And that actually made another new cool little scraping. All right, now I got to let it dry.